Today we will be looking at the experience for a group user viewing their feedback within the QPP application. The first item that we want to do is to navigate to the QPP website, which is QPP.CMS.Gov. Once we've navigated to the website, we want to sign in. This will take us to the sign-in page. On the sign-in page, we want to enter in our EIDM user credentials. If you are not registered within EIDM, you can navigate to the CMS Enterprise portal and register for your account. I need to enter in my EIDM user ID as well as my EIDM password. Before I can click sign in, I also need to attest to the statement of truth, where I am saying all information is accurate and complete. Once I click sign in, this will take me to the multi-factor authentication page. A code will be sent to log in that will need to be entered in order to access the system. This can come through as a text message or a phone call. After successfully logging in, we land on the home page. To view our performance feedback, we can either click on performance feedback on the sidebar or view performance feedback in the middle of the page. For this user, we're going to take a look at a group. The first thing that we notice here is that one or more of the clinicians reported as individuals and scored higher than the group score. These clinicians will receive their individual final scores. View details to see the final scores. On this page, we also have the available option to download our payment adjustment CSV, which will contain all of the NPIs under the group as well as their payment adjustment. After clicking download, we then have a list of all of the information underneath it here. We have our TIN, NPI, final score, payment adjustment, quality contribution, ACI contribution, and IA contribution. After clicking View Details, you can see that we've landed on the practice site. At the top, we see the group final score, as well as the view feedback. The clinician view has the ability to toggle between group scores or NPI scores. If we click on here, we can see all of the NPIs that are receiving the group score, or we can click on NPI only scores. We can see here that this is the NPI that is receiving outside of the group. Within this practice, we have clinicians that are participating within an APM, and their feedback will be delivered outside of the application. For clinicians that are qualifying APM participants, they are exempt from MIPS and will not receive any type of MIPS performance feedback. For individuals receiving the group score, they will receive their final score and payment adjustment details, but no additional details will be available as there is no submission information and they are getting the group submission details. For individuals that have submitted and scored higher than the group and will receive their own score, they will have their final score, payment adjustment details, and they'll be able to view their feedback. For individuals who have voluntarily submitted, they will be identified on the page as voluntary submitters, and any type of information associated with this is for informational purposes only. They will not receive a payment adjustment or a final score. We are going to view the experience for a group viewing their group final score. After clicking on the View Practice Feedback, we can see that we have a couple options on the page. At the top of the page, we have print and download submission data. For individuals who wish to print out the feedback, you have the option of printing either just the overview page or the entire feedback. Once we click on this, you can see that we're given the option to either print or we can save as a PDF. For those wanting to save as a PDF, after clicking on Save as a PDF, will then be able to view the information within a PDF format. This information will be very similar to what's available on the screen. However, it will be in a PDF screen and be able to view offline. Once we've navigated back onto the page, we can see that we have the option to view all clinicians within the group, and we can also view our category score information. Your final score is aggregated from your quality, advancing care, and improvement activity category score. Each one of these is graphically defined on the left-hand side. We can see our payment adjustment details, as well as our exceptional performance adjustment, which lines up with our total MIPS adjustment. As we scroll down the page, we can see that we have different information that's available. We have quality being the first category that's able to be viewed on the screen. We can see our performance score, our performance period, highest scored submission method, reported measures, high priority measures. We also have a measure ledger that will give us details on how and what each one of these colors on the side of the measures means. To view all details on the quality category, we can click on View All Details. This will take us over to the quality page. We can see here that we have information at the top about our quality score. For those that are eligible for the Administrative Claims ACR measure, this will be the first item displayed on the page. This is based on your hospital readmissions during the calendar year related to your practice. For those that have over 200 readmissions, this measure will be applicable. We can open up the measure card and see details related to the all-cause readmission measure. We have our performance rate, our measure score, the benchmark information, as well as additional details. This measure has scored below the lowest decile and received the minimum 3 points. However, the score will not display in the decile range above. As you can see, because we have scored lower than 15.75, this information will not be displayed. We can see additional details on the ACR measure by clicking View Measure Details. On this page, we can see that this is based off of our hospital admissions and readmissions. Your performance rate is based off of the 5 medical cohorts associated with the all-cause readmission measure. Only the top 3 causes will be shown on the page. This data does not account for the risk-adjusted case mix difference across provider groups, and we also have details on our planned admissions. These are not counted against your score. So we can see here, in 2017, this practice had 4,529 admissions, of which 511 had a readmission. Only your unplanned readmission counts are shown below. So we can see here that we have our initial hospital diagnosis, the number of initial admissions, readmissions, and the number of unplanned readmissions. This will be shown related to the top 3 cases associated with the practice. If we navigate back to quality, we can then view the remainder of the measures that we have associated with this practice. So we can see that we have the top 6 measures that actually applied to the remainder of the quality score. We have measures that receive bonus points. These would be ones that fall outside of the top 6 but are contributing bonus points. For this practice, there are none that fall into this category. And we also have information on measures that were submitted but do not count towards the quality scores. For this practice, they registered for the CAPS measure. This is a survey measure that is conducted outside of the program, and the details are submitted in. There are 12 sub-measures associated with the CAPS measure that contribute to make up measure 321. You can see here that we have the measure scores, which are added up, then divided by the total number to give us the measure number. We can see additional details on the CAPS measures by clicking into View Details. Each one of these measures are displayed very similar to the way that we see all of the other quality measures, where the decile is aligned with the benchmark to create a score. At the bottom of the page, we can see the same type of graphic that we saw previously, where the measure score is divided by the measure weight to come up with the total contribution. Next, we'll navigate into the advancing care information. At the top of the page, we can see information on our submission. And then as we scroll down, the first item we see is the attestation statements. The attestation statements are required for the advancing care information category, and if not attested, there will not be a score given for the advancing care information category. The next required item are the base measures. If the base measures are not completed, no score will be given for the advancing care information category. There are two different types of measures within the base measure category. We have measures that are required that do not receive a performance score. These will be notated as an NA and a thumbs up, or measures that were submitted that receive a performance score. And this will show details on the performance score associated with that measure. If you submitted an exclusion for one of the measures, this will also be notated as an NA and a thumbs up. And as we can scroll down, we see additional details on all of the measures we submitted during the year. Your total advancing care information score details will be displayed at the bottom, where we have our base score plus the additional performance or bonus points divided by the maximum number of points for the category. These will be multiplied by the category weight, which is 25, and give us our total contribution to final score, which equals 21.25 out of 25. The last category we'll look at is the improvement activities. As we navigate over, we can see that the top of the page displays the same information that we saw previously. We also have details about how we could have done better. So for this practice, we submitted 3 medium priority activities. We can increase our score by submitting 1 additional medium weighted activity. This would be applicable for 2018 reporting. As we scroll down, we can see submitted activities that were associated with this practice. Each one of the activities has details on the weight as well as the contribution. At the bottom of the page, we can see that we have our total improvement activity score. This shows us that we submitted 3 medium activities, which equals 30 points. We have no high activity points, and the total number of points, which is 40, multiplied by the category weight, which is 15, to give us the total contribution to final score, which is 11.25 out of 15.